nearing about a decade and a half now almost since I first discovered graffiti, by first seeing it in a city near where I lived in and then subsequently being exposed to more aspects of graffiti on YouTube. And YouTube is where some of the most influential graffiti videos of all time are still to this day. And those videos we're talking about are responsible for many younger writers falling in love with seeing graffiti for the first time and learning to appreciate the great art form that we have in all aspects. I'm certain that there are many videos out there on YouTube that a lot of especially younger writers have seen, maybe when you were first getting into graffiti more seriously, that really bring you back and feel super nostalgic and probably sort of remind you of why you got into graffiti in the first place. That is certainly the case for me, and that is why today we're looking at the top 6 best or most influential graffiti videos on YouTube specifically. So let's get right into it. Now, there is one important thing to specify here. There is absolutely no way to make this list totally objective, right? And I don't think a simple view count is enough evidence to constitute a graffiti video's level of influence on the platform. So because of that, what I've tried to do here is I've tried to take certain graffiti videos that were iconic at different times on the YouTube platform, as well as a few graffiti videos that I personally think just really capture the epitome of some aspect of graffiti to put on this list. So what I'm really saying here is some of the videos will be iconic to everyone as big, awesome graffiti videos, but we all have our own individual ones that we saw first, and I'd love to hear what some of those videos are for you guys that you first saw on the YouTube platform. Maybe write that down in the comments. I'd love to read it, love to hear about the things that were going on in the graffiti world on YouTube when you guys first maybe discovered that graffiti was on YouTube. And the 6th top graffiti video is from a channel that I mentioned on our video about the top 12 old graffiti YouTube channels. It comes from the channel Viva City RU, Viva City Russia that is, and it is a video about the graffiti artist Rock bombing the streets of Kiev. Now the one I'm referencing here is actually like a part 2. The part 1 on that channel got about 22,000 views I think to date, and part 1 has 200,000 views. And how do I sum up this video? It's got a little bit of everything. It's got some daytime bombing, it's got some highway spots, it's got some rooftops, it's got some truck bombs, and really just sort of the whole 9 yards. It's a very well-balanced graffiti video. I think it's really key that it was published in the early 2010s, I think, specifically because at that time there wasn't this crunch to make as much content as possible if you are a graffiti channel on YouTube. Nowadays you see these videos and they try and get like 2-3 videos out of doing like one graffiti piece even, and if that was how this video was structured, it would just suck. The way it was filmed at that time, you can really tell it was filmed in mind with making sure there was just a little bit of everything there for you to see, and it really made it a next level video in my opinion. And I think it's a really well-rounded video that shows sort of what an Eastern European graffiti scene is like, or at least was closer to that time. And I do want to say that the music in the video is spot on. It starts out with some hip hop, and then all of a sudden you're listening to like the Ghostbusters theme song. It's a very eclectic mix of music as well as different aspects of graffiti, just to sum that up. The 5th top best most influential graffiti video on this list is one from a channel that we all know. It's a pretty iconic graffiti video, I think, and that is because it is the Rasco in the Hood video. It has over 1 million views to date, and as many of Rasco's videos have been at that time and still probably are today, it is just a 6-minute action-packed, can-slinging, intense production, I guess, if you want to call it that. Obviously, Rasco's style alone is enough to turn heads in the graffiti community, especially because I think the way he uses a lot of sort of far out color schemes to create form in his letters is really, really masterful. But that is not why I think this video is so great. The reason why I think the video did so well and why it's so iconic is because it captures everything about what a day painting an abando spot is actually like. You start out, you have all this energy, you put all your energy that you can into your first piece in that abandoned building, and then after that you probably have a few cans that you didn't use. You might try a second piece with some sort of weird color scheme. And to finish it off, empty those paint cans out with a few throws and tags. And that's exactly what happened in the video. So I think the reason the video is great is simply not because of the gorgeous styles that Rasco can lay down, or the sort of flashy, loose can lines, or anything like that, but probably just because so many graffiti writers can relate to the environment that the video was filmed in and captured. I don't know, I could be wrong. You guys maybe let me know in the comments what you think about that. So the top 4 is really where I started sort of struggling to rank these videos, and I think it's because at this point we're just dealing with videos that are much more widely known within graffiti communities across the world that have seen YouTube videos. So I think with this top 4, all of these videos have probably attracted a lot of people to graffiti. And the 4th one in particular was my first exposure to this particular graffiti artist, and once again, it is actually Rasco. Don't worry, this is the last Rasco video on the list, but this video is the Rasco street bombing video. I forget what the actual title is, but I do have to say I honestly just think everything about this video is simply perfect. And that goes for the music, the tags, the pieces, the shots, the filming, and especially on this one for me, the editing of the video. And that's probably not the first thing that comes to mind when you see this video, but if you take a closer look, you really do start to appreciate just how well done and well made this video is. And maybe it's just because at this point I've edited over 350 graffiti related videos for YouTube myself, as well as some other videos, but I can honestly say I have never seen a more artfully edited graffiti video. And I know that sounds really weird to say about a graffiti video that has some pretty hardcore rap music in it, but my counterpoint to that is, did any of you who saw this video realize that it switched from being black and white to full color back and forth about 8 times throughout the video? The answer for most of you is probably no, I didn't realize that. And that to me shows you exactly how well this video has been put together. Because if you can make those switches from some black and white filter with hard edges on it to just full color images and not have an audience notice, you've done a pretty damn good job. And after watching this video probably about 20 times throughout 10 years or so, I finally realized that what they did was the first 30 seconds or the first 28 seconds are in black and white with this weird hard filter, and then it switches to color whenever it's a clip of Rasco painting a full color piece. And aside from that, the environment that those tags are being done in, you know, with the crowded streets, people walking by, those trackside graffiti bombs with sort of the background in the image, it's all just so atmospheric, and it really brings the video together in my opinion. And just other little things, sort of like the shot where Rasco is like on the train while it's rolling away a little bit, or the shot of the railway police or the buff people, whatever they are, or when the music stops and that lady's like all upset yelling at them. Those are all sort of just little cherries on top, I think, that really brought the video up to 110%. The third top graffiti video on this list is personally a very, very special one to me, and it is literally the first graffiti video on YouTube that I ever laid my eyes upon, and it single-handedly is one of the reasons that I myself fell in love with graffiti as much as I did. Before seeing that video, I'd been messing around with graffiti for a couple of years, seeing it sort of in places nearby, but this video in particular really showed me, and probably a lot of other people as well, what graffiti can actually be. And it was very, very eye-opening to me. About 500,000 other people should remember this video as well by view count, and it features one of the most stacked lineups of graffiti talent that you could ever wish to see in action. It is the 2009 Miami video with the Iron Like USA team and Askew. The opening shots of it are shots of Ewok laying down one of the most killer graffiti pieces I've ever seen, even to this day. You've got NU's Augor, Askew, and I think Pose as well. And they each have just this massive, tall, beautiful stucco wall that they each just totally annihilate. There's no other way to put it, really. And to me, this sort of early 2010s graffiti video style that Iron Lac was doing at that time was the exact right way to make a graffiti video, and I wish more videos were like that today. Of course, they still jump around quite a bit between some super impressive detail shots of the pieces, but they do intermix that with some nice wide angle shots that show the entire piece and sort of let the audience in on what's going on exactly. I don't know about you guys, but to me, like, there's so many videos nowadays where it's just they're too worried about looking flashy, doing these quick lines, and you see about 200 little detail shots in a row and then nothing for the whole video. Some videos don't even remember to show you the final piece. So I really think that the style of videos that the Iron Lac channel was coming out with were so iconic just because they did a good job at being the gold standard for how a graffiti video should be at that time. And I think that's part of the reason why they managed to be the staple of graffiti videos on the YouTube platform specifically for so long. But just as a final word on this video, I think there's a lot of Iron Lac videos that were coming out around that time that other graffiti artists probably viewed the same way I viewed this one in particular. So many of the Iron Lac videos at that time, like I was saying, were just a step up from everything else that was happening on the platform at that time. So I'm certain a lot of you guys as well probably have a couple Iron Lac videos that you saw early on if you are a younger generation graffiti writer, and you can probably recall watching them and getting that nice nostalgicness of seeing those videos. Well, that's enough of me babbling. Let's get on to the second top graffiti video. Now, I took a few liberties with the number 2 best graffiti video on this list, and the liberties I'm speaking of are basically just that it's actually a series of videos. It's the part 1 to 6 of A Day with SDK videos. But hear me out, guys, it only makes sense that SDK and influential graffiti videos are happening in the same sentence here. And to me, in this case, I think those basically day in the life SDK graffiti videos really encompass what graffiti lifestyles are like in a crew environment. And I'll use parts 1 and parts 4 as my examples here because those ones were really the ones that, like, I felt were very relatable. And you gotta remember, each of these videos are over an hour long and they still all have like minimum 100,000 views or more on each of them. And I'll tell you, it ain't because they're good quality videos, right? Like, for example, part 1, the first 25 minutes of it is basically for the guys in the car driving around trying to figure out what they're gonna do and talking about their sobriety. And half the time, I swear to God, capital Q is just aiming the camera at the floor. So it's not because these videos are good quality that they did so well. It's because they really encompass and captured what it's like to be in a graffiti crew, I think, for a lot of people. So it's just 100% atmosphere and relatability. And as I mentioned, the other one that I found to be a super awesome graffiti video in general was part 4, where Craver and Capital Q are just doing some good old daytime graffiti bombing. They really get some of everything in there. There's some Markall tags, some spray can tags in the street, you know, a few stickers, and there's a good portion of train bombing at the end as well. And I may be overanalyzing here, but that seems to be my specialty. So I will mention that I think just the banter between Capital Q and Craver really goes to show just how they really are like brothers. And I think for other people that may have like 1 or 2 other people who are really good friends of theirs that they do graffiti with, I think this is a very relatable sort of day out for a lot of graffiti artists. But maybe, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm overanalyzing, maybe they're just graffiti videos. It could be just that the Canadianness of them is what's relatable for them. For me, I don't know. If there is one video that is predictably on this list, it should be the number 1 graffiti video slash most influential graffiti video on YouTube, and I actually think a lot of you guys will see this one coming. And you know what? In fact, right now, pause the video, put in the comments, guess what you think this video is going to be, because I have a sneaking suspicion that most people are going to be on the same page about this and you guys will get it right. Seriously, try and just write down what you think it is, and then after I reveal it, reply point and we'll see if you were right or not. Reply to yourself and say if you were right. I'll be very interested to see what people think it is. But I am going to reveal which one that is now, so if you're not ready, you know, pause the video. But the top, best, most influential graffiti video on YouTube is one that ruled the graffiti communities on YouTube for several weeks when it was published, and even made its way into totally separate communities that have nothing to do with graffiti on YouTube. It went so viral. And with 13.5 million views, that video is of course the Sciz Limitless video. And although it does admittedly depict just sort of one aspect or type of graffiti, I do have to say that the work done to make this a single cohesive project by obviously Sciz, but also the other artists involved, and specifically Selena Miles, who is credited with doing the shot and cut, is just absolutely out of this world. And I don't think there will ever maybe even be a graffiti video on YouTube that will ever reach this level again. From the crazy intro to the like boating across the massive warehouse on the couch thing that they did, to the tens of thousands of dollars of spray paint and the sheer square footage covered in that warehouse, to the precisely edited and synced video and audio clips, I can honestly say that everything in this video was perfect. I think its success sort of backs that up as not just my opinion, but the opinion of a wider audience. I'm hoping all of you guys saw this video already, because as you can probably tell, I'm probably trying to communicate with my body a little more about this video than I can possibly describe, and that's just the type of video that it truly is. And if you watch it thinking specifically about how the video went so viral and how it attracted the attention of so many communities outside of graffiti, I think it becomes pretty damn obvious, pretty damn fast that you're looking at something special. Just from the pace that massive pieces are going up to this sort of like intense dubstep style music that they chose to use for it, that isn't necessarily enjoyable but definitely fit the pace of the video. Like I said, you get an idea pretty quickly that you're looking at something pretty special. Even just the number of still shots that had to be taken to put some of that stuff together just makes it so obvious. And I think in retrospect, all those aspects coming together so nicely explains how the video did so well. And I also want to mention a super cool Easter egg that you can actually find about this video if you look hard enough on YouTube. As I mentioned, the shot and cut is credited to Selena Miles for that Sciz Limitless video. She herself has a YouTube channel as well. It only has 4 videos on it, so it's not really much of a channel, but her prestige as an editor is evidenced by those 4 videos having close to 300,000 views. But that Easter egg that I will link you to is just a 2-minute long video on that channel that features a small piece painted by an artist in that same warehouse that the Sciz Limitless video took place before it was painted. So if you do want to see a bit more about the detail of that warehouse and what it looked like in a bit of a different light when it wasn't being absolutely crushed by some of the best artists you can possibly see put spray paint to a wall, check that video out. It's pretty cool. And actually, as a side note, I should say congrats to the Iron Black channel for finally hitting 200,000 subscribers. That is something that should have happened like a decade ago as well. And as a closing note, I want to include a bonus video specifically for the purposes of outlining just how subjective this video and this list probably is. Truthfully, I don't have a lot of time these days to watch graffiti content myself, and the more you get into being in the business of making graffiti content on a regular basis, the less you become interested in watching it, quite honestly, probably. But I did recently watch a video on Sciz' channel with him and Serum painting a massive wall. I'll link that one in the corner too for you to check out. It's certainly worthwhile. And my reaction to that video was just simply pure awe. So what I'm saying here is you probably noticed that a lot of the graffiti videos we talked about today are ones that are sort of on the older side. And I think that speaks to my sort of unintentional bias towards those videos that happened to be around when I was a younger graffiti artist and first discovered graffiti on YouTube specifically. And with that being said, I think the Sciz video that I just mentioned is awesome, and I think it speaks to how newer videos coming out on YouTube today can be catalysts for young younger graffiti writers and really speak to them about why graffiti is so amazing and why we all love it in all forms as an art. And thus there probably shouldn't be any single videos that we can undisputedly claim are the best ones or the most influential ones. And that simple fact is why I've tried to encourage throughout the video everyone to weigh in on this conversation, because it is a conversation best had with many participants, and luckily we have the forum to get many participants in that conversation right here. So I can't wait to read all about some of the videos you guys have in mind that have, you know, a special place in your younger graffiti artist self's heart, and ones you guys link in the comments as well. That should be a great thing for everyone watching this video to go look at. And I know you guys have some good ones because we have the undisputed best graffiti community here on this channel. If you'd like to become part of it, you can consider subscribing, and you can check out some more of the best videos that have come out on this channel on screen now. Thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel, continuing to support the channel. I hope to see you in another video on the channel quite soon. Until then, peace.